Hello and welcome to the Business Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Adila Rafiz, the Global Business Whisperer. If you are wondering how to create a life in business that is intuitive, authentic, and successful, that is exactly what we are here to help you do each and every week, where we bring you episodes, interviews, tools, tips, everything that you are looking for to help you realize that the most important ingredient in your business is you, and listening to the whispers of your intuition, your gut instinct. It has helped me create a business beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm here to now help you do the same. So if you are ready to download some of this business whispering magic into your life and business, stay tuned because you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Business Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Adila Rafiz, and today I am getting into a topic that I'm really passionate about, which is healing and healing for healers. So if you haven't heard, I'm about to embark on a 3-part series called Heal the Healer, which is created to help those of us who are the healers, the practitioners, the energy workers, the intuitives, the heart-centered coaches of the world who do so much to make the world a better place, how to work on our own blocks, how to start to really go deeper in our work by healing those parts of us that are still looking for healing, that still require some reconciliation with who we truly are. And that very first call in that series is completely free. This is a gift call because I absolutely believe not only in the work that we are doing, but in wanting to help move the work forward that we do collectively in the world. I know so many amazing healers. A lot of them are my colleagues. They are my friends. They are my classmates from chiropractic college. They are my fellow coaches in the industry that work with some of the most amazing clients, and they help make the world a better place. They help people become a better version of themselves. And yet many of us have a very similar makeup, and we're dealing with some of the same core wounds, working with needing to overcome our own fears around self-trust, self-worth, self-validation, still working with major money and financial wounds that I just see so often. And I'm going to talk about that specifically in today's episode. I remember so distinctly being in a one-on-one session quite a few years ago. I was in my office, and my client on that particular day was a naturopath, a fully qualified naturopath in practice for many years, who was also a lady who was much older than me. She had much more life experience. She had a lot more years of working under her belt. And she was talking to me about her lack of financial security and her wounds. That's not the word she used. That's the word I'm using. But basically her inability to have safety with money, her inability to have trust with money, and to have income that not only was coming in, but actually was building up in her bank account and was allowing her to feel safe in doing the healing work that she did so lovingly for her clients. And a major penny dropped for me at that moment, because I realized in that moment that she was a typical client for me. And that might sound weird, but until then, I basically worked with people who have such different backgrounds. And over the years, I've started to work more and more with fellow practitioners, healers, coaches. I'm someone who is kind of the coach to the coach, or the healer to the healers, because I've just got so many years of experience in this work. And so I know how to go deeper than where most people end healing sessions or healing work. So we have really great outcomes. Now, as she was sitting there talking to me, I realized that no matter what their backgrounds were, no matter what their sex was, so whether they were female or male, no matter how long they'd been in the industry, no matter what country they came from. At this point, I had already worked with clients from all over the world who practiced either healing work or were practitioners, fully trained practitioners like she was, like I was as a chiropractor. I'm even going to include like physios and acupuncturists, herbalists, all sorts of people that have gone to school, that have full-on degrees. So it's not even that they're dealing with imposter syndrome or dealing with, I don't have enough of the qualifications or certifications that I know some of you may have struggled with in the early days. Nor did she not have enough experience, and nor did she not have the results. And yet I realized that all of these people that I had worked with exhibited the same lack of safety with money and with financial security and with trusting that they were going to be able to generate and have a successful and financially viable business doing the work that they really wanted to do, that they loved to do, that they had worked so hard to be able to gain that qualification or to get the certifications and the trainings that they needed to do this work in the world. No matter how many years they'd spent doing that, and no matter how many years of experience they still had, they still didn't feel like the money was flowing freely. They still didn't feel like they had enough for a rainy day. They still didn't have a safe and empowering relationship with money. And they didn't know how much longer it would be and what it was going to take to make them start to feel successful and validated in their chosen profession. And this blew my mind at the time, because the realization that this was not specific to people's particular circumstance, that this is a trend that I was seeing across healers, practitioners, and coaches across multiple modalities, no matter the number of years that they'd been practicing for, no matter how experienced or inexperienced they were, and no matter what their background was. So some of these practitioners and healers had highly traumatic backgrounds or past experiences themselves. And then others had not so overtly traumatic experiences or abusive past, but they still had this real struggle with self-doubt, self-worth, and being able to trust in their ability to do this work and make money from it. So this is the wound, or the part of the healing journey, which is one of the things we'll be diving into in this 3-part series that I wanted to talk about today. I absolutely had this. I absolutely had this wound. And most of the people that I qualified with as a chiropractor, so most of my best friends are chiropractors. Most of them are still practicing as chiropractors. As I moved on from chiropractic, the more friends I made, they were coaches, they were healers, they were still in this industry, because I'm still in this industry. I've just moved on from my role as a chiropractor to a facilitator, to a coach, to the founder of my own modality. But the people I connect with and resonate with are still in a very similar industry. And starting to understand that this was not something that was just wrong with me, because believe me, I absolutely thought this was a me problem. This was a me issue. This was a math issue, a debt issue, a savings issue, a not being financially literate issue that was very specific and unique to me, and maybe came from my background and my family only, to then starting to look across the board, to not just within my profession, to the hundreds, to actually the thousands of people I've met at this point around the world who are doing healing work, and realizing that this is a very similar reoccurring issue with a very similar, in fact, same energetic baseline, energetic foundation. And this is what we're getting to in this series, is the energetic foundations of these wounds. So they may appear slightly different and be more circumstantial for some than others. They may have particular things that create a point of difference. But if we go to the foundation here of these wounds and of these experiences, they are the same. And I believe they are the same because we are a particular type of people. We are a people who are, and you may resonate with some of these words and not others, but someone who has high emotional intelligence, who resonates and understands the world through feeling, through sensation. You may identify as empathic or being an empath, being aware, being psychic, being connected to other people, being very in tune or intuitive around what people are feeling and experiencing. And it is the pain or that awareness of other people and being people persons that makes us want to help these people and has made us want to go on and choose professions that complement these innate skills that we have. And then there are, so many of us that are intuitively very skilled at this. We are intuitive body workers. We are intuitive healers. You are intuitive, or you were born into your psychic abilities or your healing capacities that you may or may not have even fully explored, or by now you might have acknowledged them, you might have explored them, and you may be very well settled and experienced in your title and in your role in doing this work in the world. But this is kind of the makeup of the type of people I'm talking about. If you don't identify as that type of person, for example, if you're listening to this and you're saying, no, I'm an accountant working in corporate and I don't identify with that, I just want to ask you, do you know how people are feeling without them having to tell you? Or do you pick up on things intuitively? Do you tend to take on other people's stress or worry or wounds? Do you have a very high level of empathy? And are you always trying to help people? Even if it's a very practical way of helping, are you the person that people always call when they have a problem, or they rely on you, or they know that you would help because you're a helper? That's another way that healers present in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing healing work or practicing the healing arts, but you are an intuitive-based person who has these healing skills or tendencies that kind of groups you in a similar situation. Now, when we are part of this group, we have collective wounds as well as our individual wound. And something else that I've realized is actually the healer's wound for healers is very similar, if not the same, to the creative wound for many creatives, like the starving artist, right? That whole persona that's been created and that whole reality and belief system that society has created around, you can either be an academic or you can go and study something useful and be rich and successful, or you can follow your heart, you can go and be a musician or an artist or do something creative with your life, and you may be happy, but you'll never be rich. You're not going to make money. And most of the healers of this world were faced with that very same conundrum at some point in their life. Unless they went on and became medical doctors or practitioners, most healers feel like they made the choice to do a job or to qualify in a profession that was going to help people. And yes, they could make some money and even good money, but it was not A, their primary concern, and B, this was not going to be their ticket to becoming a millionaire overnight. All of us knew this, and yet we wanted to pursue this because we can't help but do this work. Most of us would do it for free. Most of us tend to, or used to, until we put boundaries in place, used to either heavily discount or give away sessions, give away classes, give away healings, because if we heard a good sob story, we would want to help. These are the tendencies that create us as the healers of the world. And so when I had that naturopath in my office and I'm listening to her speak to me about her history with money, she was, she's probably late 40s. I'm trying to recall. It was quite a few years ago. She's probably late 40s. She's saying to me her entire life, she's never had a good relationship with money. She's always had scarcity. She's always had lack. And even though she's fully qualified and has a good job as a naturopath, she does not trust and feel like she has security and safety with money and having enough money in the future. No matter what she does, no matter how hard she works, no matter how much comes in, just as much goes out, or she gives it away, or something will happen, or there'll be an emergency. So the money wound is a huge part of the healer's wound, and it's a huge part of what we will be healing and clearing in this series. If this is resonating with you, if you had or had not realized that you are a healer, or that you still have some of these money wounds, or if, like me, you thought it was just you or it was just normal, we also get to the point where if you haven't found someone in your industry or someone close to you who has been able to do this work and create a different future or a different version of reality, meaning if you do not know someone who's actually been able to do this work and become successful and make a lot of money from doing it, and you have decided to adopt that belief that you can do this work, but no one you know is making a lot of money. No Reiki practitioner, no energy worker, no theta healer is making, multiple 6 figures or 7 figures that you know of. Then it becomes this belief that it's not just you, it's everyone in the industry. No one makes a lot of money doing this work. You don't do it for the money, you do it for the love of it. No matter what industry you are in, if this is what you are thinking, and if you are thinking you just need to make your peace with the fact that you're never going to have a lot of money, but at least you're going to be happy, this is something else I'd like you to look at. This is something we'll definitely be going over in this series. And finally, I just want to bring to your attention that the world is changing and our industries are changing. And I firmly believe it is now the time for us to be financially successful, to be financially strong, to be financially literate, all of those things that I did not believe were possible for me or others in my industry, especially when I decided to give up being a chiropractor and move into facilitation and healing work using my own modality, body whispering. That really, according to everyone else, is not a smart choice. There is even less of a guarantee of reliable income when you make a choice like that. Now, that thankfully has not been my experience. I have been able to, at this point, definitely outcreate my income or the money I used to make as a chiropractor. I have so much more freedom, so much more financial security, and a much brighter future, not just financially, but in terms of life and work satisfaction, because I'm doing what I 100% want to do 100% of the time. But most of us did not ever have this example. We didn't see it. We didn't have good examples of it. We didn't have any evidence or proof that it was possible for healers to be well paid, to have financial security, and to be right up there making hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, doing the work we love to do. More importantly, having the global impact, or having the impact that we would like to have. because you may have started doing this work at a time where it was a fringe modality or a fringe belief. There was only a certain percentage of the population that were going to be your clients because they had to either buy into this stuff or not. I really feel like all of this stuff is changing. I feel like now more than ever, you have an opportunity to be highly successful and very well compensated for your very innate and unique talents and capacities as a healer, no matter which way you choose to practice, whether you've gone down the road of professional training and graduated as some sort of practitioner, whether you have invested your time and money into gaining certifications through courses such as shamanism or Reiki or theta healing, body whispering, or whether you are just starting to, like, you know innately that you have these gifts and talents, you would love to do it, but you really don't know if you could ever do it as something more than a hobby or a side hustle. I really believe now is the time, and I'm really interested and excited about offering you some healing, some facilitation, some deep embodiment change of the certainty and the belief that you require to really be successful through this series. So we are starting off with that free call on the 26th of March. So that is a Sunday. And even if you have missed this call, you're able to register at the link below and you will be sent that replay, and you can still register and receive those future calls, sign up to the full series as we work through those 3 core wounds: the healer's wound, which is the money and finances; the visibility wound, which is huge. Okay, acknowledging who you are, the work that you do, how transformative it is, and being willing to be seen and to be paid for the work you do. And finally, the self-love, self-worth, and validation wound that actually is not just about you receiving self-love and self-worth and validation, but actually this is where the trust for our work and our results comes in. And this is what is going to deepen your container, deepen your ability to go further into your gifts, to uncover the even more amazing skills that you may have, the very natural and intuitive abilities that you may have, that you may not have even discovered or explored yet. So this is what the series is going to be exploring and healing and uncovering for you. I would love to see you there. And I would also love to hear from you if you are a healer or practitioner, coach, intuitive coach across any modality, across any niche. You are my people. I would love to help you. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear your questions so I can tailor these episodes or these sessions to your needs. Please let me know who you are, where you are in the world, what it is you would like help with. And I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully seeing you guys on the series soon. Take care and catch you in the next episode. And that wraps up another episode of the Business Whisperer podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Your support means the world to me. Now, as always, if you found value in today's episode, do me a favor and share it with someone who you know would love this information, or leave us a review so you can help other people find this podcast too. Wishing you so much success ahead, and as always, remember, keep following the whispers.